Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. The stealth strategy that backfired, how our broadcast doomed their empire. The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. Earth's United Coalition leaders stood in stunned silence as the holographic representative of the Galactic Conclave delivered their verdict. After thorough evaluation, we find humanity unsuitable for membership within the Galactic Conclave. Your species exhibits dangerous tendencies toward aggression, unpredictability, and resource consumption beyond sustainable levels. You are hereby restricted to your solar system until such time as these fundamental flaws have been addressed. Commander Alina Rice felt her fingernails dig into her palms as she maintained a neutral expression. As head of Earth's Space Defense Command, she had overseen humanity's preparation for this moment, their introduction to the galactic community. Now, with a few cold words, they were being caged. We reject this assessment, Ray stated firmly. Humanity deserves the same rights of exploration and expansion as any species. The alien diplomat's compound eyes shifted in a pattern that suggested indifference. The decision is final. Monitoring stations will be established at the edge of your system. Any attempt to violate this quarantine will be met with immediate defensive action. When the transmission ended, the room erupted in angry voices, but Ray remained silent. Her mind was already calculating, if humanity couldn't join their galactic community, perhaps they would build something better. The walk back to her office felt longer than usual. Guards saluted as she passed, unaware that humanity had just been sentenced to imprisonment in their own solar system. Once alone, she activated her secure terminal and called Dr. Sanjay Patel, Earth's leading physicist and head of the Experimental Propulsion Project. The meeting with the Conclave, she said when his face appeared, went badly. Worse than we imagined. What happened? They've banned us from leaving the solar system, Patel replied, reading her expression. Silence hung between them before Patel spoke, his voice quiet but firm. Project Shadowep might work. Rise knew what he meant. For years, his team had been developing an alternative to conventional space travel, a method the Conclave wouldn't expect or be able to detect. How soon? 2 years. Maybe less if we get the resources we need. Rise nodded. You'll have them. That night, she called a secret meeting with Earth's most trusted military and scientific leaders in a bunker deep beneath the former United Nations building. 12 men and women gathered around a table much like the one where humanity had received its sentence hours earlier. We have 2 choices, Rice told them. Accept the Conclave's restrictions and remain trapped in our solar system forever, or find a way to break free without detection. Dr. Amara Okafor, commander of the African Alliance forces, leaned forward. You have a plan? Not yet, but I have the beginnings of one. Rise activated a hologram showing Patel's experimental drive system. This technology doesn't use the same hyperspace lanes as Conclave systems. We could travel undetected. And then what? Asked President Luis Vargas. We establish colonies and hope they don't notice, for a time, Rise admitted. But eventually we build something strong enough that when they do notice, it won't matter. The room fell silent as the magnitude of what she was suggesting sank in. You're talking about defying the most powerful organization in the galaxy, said Dr. Lu, Earth's seniorologist. Yes, Rise agreed. And they just told us we're not good enough to join them. I say we prove them wrong. The debate lasted through the night. By dawn, a vote was taken, and the decision was unanimous: humanity would not accept its cage. 3 weeks later, the Terran Alliance was formed with Commander Riaz as its military leader. Publicly, Earth's governments pledged to respect the Conclave's decision while, privately, resources poured into Patel's quantum drive project and other technologies that might help humanity escape. Monitoring stations appeared at the edge of the solar system as promised, massive structures with sensors capable of detecting any conventional spacecraft attempting to leave. Conclave representatives arrived monthly to inspect Earth's shipyards and research facilities, ensuring that humanity wasn't developing forbidden technologies. Rise met with them each time, smiling and cooperative. Meanwhile, deep in underground facilities on Mars and Europa, the real work continued. 1 year after the ban, Paddle's team achieved their first breakthrough. A test probe vanished from their lab and reappeared 2 light-minutes away. The quantum slip drive worked briefly, connecting 2 points in space without traveling through the space between, he explained during a secure call with Ree. It's still unstable, and the energy requirements are enormous. But it proves the concept. Ree smiled for the first time in months. How long until we can send something bigger, a small ship, maybe? 8 months. But, Commander, there's something else. The excitement in his voice made her sit up straighter. The probe picked up a signal, very faint, but definitely artificial. And it's not conclave technology. Another species? No, the signal is old. Very old. Billions of years, maybe. And it's coming from a star system about 12 light-years from here, a system not on any conclave maps. Ray felt something she hadn't experienced since before the conclave's verdict, hope. Not just for escape, but for discovery. Keep this absolutely secret, she ordered. Not even the Alliance leadership can know yet. The next 6 months were the hardest of Ray's life. Conclave inspections intensified, as if they sensed something was happening. Twice, inspectors nearly discovered hidden research facilities. Meanwhile, Earth faced increased restrictions as the conclave claimed concerning patterns of non-compliance. Food shipments from conclave agricultural worlds slowed, then stopped entirely, medical technologies were withdrawn. The message was clear, submit completely or suffer. Instead of breaking humanity's spirit, these actions only strengthened their resolve. When Ray presented the Alliance leadership with Paddle's findings, the decision to accelerate their plans was unanimous. We're ready for the first man test, Paddle told her on the day of her 45th birthday. The ship can carry 12 people, enough to start a small outpost. Where will you send them? To the source of the signal. We're calling the star system Horizon. 2 weeks later, in a hidden facility beneath the Martian surface, 12 men and women boarded the ship that would carry humanity's hopes beyond their solar prison. The vessel, barely larger than an old Earth submarine, contained everything needed to establish a basic research station. Rise addressed them before they departed, you carry with you the future of our species. Find what's waiting for us at Horizon. Lay the groundwork for those who will follow. Show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. As the ship prepared to activate its quantum slip drive, Rise embraced her old friend Patel one last time. I should be going with them, he said. No, your work here is more important. We need more ships, bigger ones. This is just the beginning. The quantum tunnel opened, a shimmering distortion in reality. The ship moved forward and vanished. No alarms sounded from the conclave monitoring stations. As far as they could tell, nothing had happened at all. 1 month later, the ship returned with astonishing news. Horizon contained not just one habitable planet, but 3. And on the second world, they had found ruins, the remains of an ancient civilization. The technology is incredible, the mission commander reported, and somehow our people can interface with it in ways we don't fully understand. It's as if it was made for us. Rise looked at the images from Horizon and made her decision, prepare the next ships. We begin our real work now. The Terran Alliance had taken its first step beyond the cage. They would not stop until they had built an empire of their own. A decade passed. The Terran Alliance now maintained 27 colonies across 18 star systems, all hidden from conclave detection. The quantum slip drive had been refined and improved, allowing for faster, safer travel between distant points. Communication between colonies used quantum entanglement, completely undetectable by conclave technology. The greatest discovery had been the ruins on Horizon Superscript 2. Dar. Maya Chen, neural interface specialist, had discovered that the ancient technology, which they now called precursor tech, responded uniquely to human neural patterns. Nearly 30% of humans could directly interface with precursor systems, suggesting a connection between humans and these predecessors that no other known species possessed. The secret human colonies organized themselves into what became informally known as the Shadow Federation, an alliance of worlds unseen by the Conclave, yet growing more powerful with each passing year. Rise, now director of the Shadow Federation Defense Force, watched from the observation deck as another colony ship disappeared into a quantum tunnel. In 10 years, they had achieved what the Conclave had deemed impossible. Their technology now surpassed many Conclave standards, particularly in quantum physics and neural interfaces. Their industrial capacity grew exponentially with each new colony, and still the Conclave believed humanity remained safely caged in their home system. "That's the third ship this month," said Admiral Kazu Tanaka, her second in command. "New Titan will have 5,000 more colonists by tomorrow." "And the Conclave?" Rise asked. "Their inspection team just left Mars. They suspect nothing." Rise nodded with satisfaction. The inspection teams had become routine over the years, bored Conclave officials, checking boxes, never imagining that humanity had expanded to multiple star systems right under their noses. Later that day, Ray attended the monthly Shadow Council meeting. Unlike the early days, when these meetings occurred in bunkers, today's gathering took place in a gleaming conference room on Horizon 1, now the capital of humanity's hidden empire. Dar. Chen stepped forward during her report. "The integration is complete. We've successfully merged precursor tech with our quantum communication network. All colonies now have real-time communication regardless of distance." Murmurs of approval filled the room. This was a breakthrough, even the Conclave didn't possess it. Their fastest communication still experienced delays over long distances. "And the neural interface?" Rise pressed. "Even better than we hoped," Chen's eyes shone with excitement. 40% of humans can now directly connect with precursor systems. We're developing training programs to increase that number. Ray watched the faces around the table. 10 years ago, she had gambled everything on humanity's escape from their solar system prison. Now, her vision had become reality, far beyond what any of them had imagined. As the meeting concluded, a priority alert came through on Ray's personal communicator. Captain James Wong, commanding a resource survey mission in the Todd City system, appeared on the screen. His expression was grim. "Director, we've had an incident. A Conclave patrol ship detected us before we could engage stealth protocols. We had no choice, we destroyed the vessel before it could transmit." Ray felt ice in her veins. "Any survivors?" "None. We made it look like a drive malfunction. But when their ship doesn't report back, they'll investigate." Ray finished, returned to Horizon immediately. Full stealth protocols. The Emergency Council reconvened within hours. The debate was heated. Some argued for relocating vulnerable colonies and continuing in secrecy, while others believed the incident would eventually expose them no matter what they did. Ray waited until all views had been expressed before speaking. "For 10 years, we've hidden in the shadows, building our strength. We've established 27 worlds, developed technologies that surpass the Conclave in many areas, and mastered precursor technology that gives us capabilities no Conclave race possesses." She moved to the central display and activated it, showing a map of human territory alongside Conclave space. "We always knew this day would come. The only question was whether we would choose the moment or have it forced upon us." Admiral Tanaka raised the obvious objection. "The Conclave has thousands of worlds. We have 27. They have quantity." "Rise," she agreed, "we have innovation. Our quantum technology is decades ahead of theirs. Our neural interfaces with precursor tech give us capabilities no Conclave race possesses." After hours of discussion, the vote was 23 in favor of revelation, 4 against. 3 days later, a fleet of 5 human vessels, sleek, advanced ships that had never been seen in Conclave space, dropped out of quantum tunnels near the Conclave outpost in the Riel sector. At their center was the flagship, Defiance, carrying Director Rice and representatives from each human world. They made no aggressive moves, but neither did they respond to the outpost's tanic demands. Instead, they broadcast a single message on all frequencies in all known conclave languages. Attention, Galactic Conclave, 10 years ago, you restricted humanity to our home system, deeming us unworthy of galactic citizenship. Today, we inform you that we have moved beyond your restrictions. The Human Shadow Federation now comprises 27 worlds across 18 star systems. We come not as supplicants, but as a sovereign power, willing to establish peaceful relations based on mutual respect and recognition. On the outpost, alarms sounded as sensors confirmed what seemed impossible: human ships, far from Earth, with technology that didn't match any known conclave designs. Aboard the Defiance, Rise stood calmly as panicked responses flooded their communication systems, demands for surrender, threats of response fleets, confused requests for verification. The outpost commander is requesting to speak with you directly, her communications officer reported. A moment later, the image of a Zorasian official appeared on screen, its 4 eyes blinking rapidly in what humans had learned was a sign of extreme stress. This is a violation of conclave decree, the Zorasian began. Your species is confined to the Sol system. These ships and your claim are illegal. Re smiled slightly. The decree was unjust, and we rejected it. As you can see, we have thrived despite your restrictions. Now, we offer 2 choices: recognize the Human Shadow Federation as a sovereign power or face the consequences of continued hostility. Consequences, the Zoraxian's voice rose. The Conclave controls thousands of worlds, you claim 27. What consequences could you possibly inflict in response? Rise nodded to her tactical officer. Across the human fleet, systems activated that had been in development for years, targeted quantum field generators that disrupted the very fabric of hyperspace. On the outpost, alarms blared as their hyperspace communications network suddenly went dark, their connection to the conclave severed completely. That is just one example, Ray said calmly. We can restore your communications whenever we choose. Consider it a demonstration of good faith that we're doing so now. With another nod from Ray, the disruption ended. The Zoraxian's eyes widened as reports came in, confirming communications were restored. The Conclave will hear of this, the official warned. We're counting on it, Ray replied. Helen, humanity awaits their response. We prefer peace, but we are prepared for any alternative. From shadows to sovereignty, the Conclave chambers on Axiom Prime had never seen such chaos. Representatives of 37 species shouted accusations and demands as evidence of humanity's expansion was displayed on the central hologram: 27 colonies, mining operations in over 40 systems, a fleet exceeding anything a quarantined species should possess. This violation cannot stand, declared High Counselor Vex, his crystalline form pulsing with agitation. The humans have deliberately deceived this conclave and broken the terms of their containment. A coalition of militaristic conclave races had dispatched a peacekeeping fleet to the nearest human colony, expecting quick submission. They found Admiral Tanaka waiting with the Third Fleet. The battle lasted less than an hour. The human vessels moved in patterns no conclave tactical computer could predict, using weapons based on precursor technology that bypassed standard shields. When it ended, the conclave had lost 23 capital ships, humanity had lost 5. We didn't want this fight, Tanaka transmitted to the survivors. We only wanted the freedom to determine our own destiny. As news spread throughout conclave space, several younger species who had themselves chafed under conclave restrictions made secret overtures to human diplomats. They saw in humanity not a threat, but an opportunity for change. High Counselor Vex pounded his crystalline appendage on the polished table, his form now pulsing deep red with rage as reports of the battle continued to stream in. 23 ships lost. Our finest vessels, our best crews, gone. Vex's voice resonated throughout the chamber. This human infection must be burned out completely. Counselor Myra, representing the Tholian species, rose slowly. Unlike many Conclave members, the Tholians were known for their calm approach. "Perhaps we should consider our original error," Myra suggested. 10 years ago, we judged humanity too harshly. Now, we see the results. Vex turned on her. "You defend these primitives. They violated the most sacred Conclave decree, a decree they never accepted. And clearly, they are no longer primitive," Myra countered. The holographic display shifted to show captured footage from the battle. Human ships moved in ways that defied standard tactical patterns, their quantum drives allowing them to appear and disappear across the battlefield. Most shocking were the weapons' energy beams that passed directly through Conclave shields as if they weren't there. "The technology they're using," said Science Minister Trell, her voice hushed, "matches nothing in our database except fragments of precursor artifacts." A murmur swept through the chamber. The precursors were little more than legend, an ancient race said to have seeded the galaxy with life before vanishing billions of years ago. Only fragments of their technology had ever been found, and most races could barely activate them, let alone understand their principles. "Impossible," Vex snapped. "No species has ever deciphered precursor tech." "Yet the evidence suggests the humans have," Trell insisted. "The neural interface patterns, the energy signatures, they've not only understood it, they've built upon it." Far from the Conclave chambers, on the human colony world of Horizon 1, Director Ray stood before a wall of screens displaying the aftermath of battle. The victory had been decisive, but the 5 lost ships weighed heavily on her. "Begin recovery operations," she ordered. "I want every survivor found, ours and theirs." Her aide approached with a data pad. "Director, we're receiving transmissions from across Conclave space, not from the Conclave itself, but from individual worlds." Rise raised an eyebrow. "Show me." The messages came from 14 different species, all relatively recent additions to the Conclave. They expressed everything from cautious interest to outright admiration for humanity's achievement. Some even hinted at dissatisfaction with Conclave rule. "They're reaching out to us," her aide said. "They see what we've done, built our own civilization despite the Conclave's ban, and they're inspired." Ray nodded slowly. "I predicted this. The Conclave maintains control by convincing everyone they're the only path to galactic civilization. We've proven there are alternatives." A priority transmission interrupted them. Admiral Tanaka's face appeared on the main screen. "Director, the Conclave has called for a formal diplomatic meeting. They're sending representatives to the neutral station at Proxima Centauri." "A trap?" she asked. "Possible, but unlikely. Their military is in disarray after our battle. The moderates seem to have temporarily gained control of the Conclave. What's our response?" "I'm heading there now with our diplomatic team." "Rice," she decided, "the Conclave expects apologies and submission. Instead, they'll receive our terms." Back on Axiom Prime, the Conclave debate had devolved into factions. The hardliners, led by Vex, demanded immediate military action, a massive fleet to crush all human worlds. The moderates urged caution and diplomatic engagement. A third group, mostly newer Conclave members, suggested reconsidering humanity's status entirely. "We should learn from them," argued Representative Lyrae of the Nuvan species. "Their quantum technology alone could advance our civilization by centuries." "Learn from rule breakers?" Vex scoffed. "You suggest we reward their defiance?" "I suggest we acknowledge reality," Lyrae replied calmly. "They have built 27 colonies right under our monitoring systems. Their technology surpasses ours in several critical areas, and they clearly have a connection to precursor artifacts that none of our species possess." The debate raged for days. Finally, a compromise was reached. A diplomatic mission would meet with human representatives at Proxima Centauri, a star system on the edge of what was now revealed to be human space. 3 days later, the Conclave delegation arrived at the space station orbiting Proxima's 4th planet. The station itself shocked them, a perfect blend of human and precursor design, with systems more advanced than anything in Conclave territory. High Diplomat Zara Atholian, chosen for her moderation, led the Conclave team into the central chamber. Director Rise waited with a small delegation of humans and, surprisingly, representatives from 3 non-conclave species, the very Nurens and the Tau. "You've been busy," Zara commented, her translator rendering her resonant tones into human speech. "Necessity breeds innovation." Rise replied, 10 years ago, you told us we weren't worthy of the stars. We decided to prove you wrong." The formal negotiations lasted 3 days. The conclave demanded oversight of human expansion, restrictions on military development, and supervision of their use of precursor technology. Humanity refused each demand. "We didn't fight our way out of one cage to enter another," Rise stated firmly. "The Shadow Federation will remain sovereign and independent." On the final day, as the talks appeared deadlocked, Zara made a personal request of Ray. She wished to see the neural interface technology humans had developed with precursor artifacts. To the surprise of both delegations, Ray agreed. In a secure laboratory aboard the station, Dr. Chen demonstrated the interface. A simple neural headset allowed her to control complex precursor systems with mere thought. More impressively, precursor data could be directly understood, not translated, but comprehended at a fundamental level. "It's as if the precursors designed their technology to be used by humans," Chen explained. "Or perhaps they designed humans to use their technology." Zara watched in silence, her Tholian physiology unreadable to human eyes. When the demonstration ended, she requested a private conversation with Ray. "You understand what this means?" Zara asked when they were alone. "The myths about the precursors, that they seeded the galaxy with life, that they would someday return through their children. Humanity fits the pattern." Ray had suspected this, but hearing it from a conclave diplomat was startling. "Is that why the conclave quarantined us?" "Fear of what we might become," some suspected. Zara admitted, particularly those races with the oldest histories. The compatibility between humans and precursor technology has been concerning to certain factions. And now, we must adapt. The Shadow Federation exists whether we approve it or not. Your alliance with the very Nurens and Cloaks, all species we rejected as you were, suggests a new power is forming in the galaxy. When the formal negotiations resumed, Zara surprised her own delegation by proposing a new framework: recognition of the Shadow Federation as a sovereign entity, limited military restrictions on both sides, and a joint research initiative into precursor technology. Over the objections of the hardliners, the conclave eventually accepted these terms. 1 year later, the Treaty of Proxima was ratified, officially ending humanity's quarantine and recognizing the Shadow Federation as an independent power. By then, 5 more species had joined the Federation, drawn by humanity's technological advancement and the promise of a more equitable galactic order. The Conclave, for the first time in millennia, was forced to reform many of its practices to compete with this new alliance. On the 10th anniversary of humanity's revelation, Director Ray stood on the observation deck of Horizon Station, watching ships from a dozen species dock and depart, Federation members, Conclave traders, and independent worlds seeking new opportunities. Admiral Tanaka, now showing gray at her temples, remarked, "The Galactic Summit begins tomorrow. The Conclave representatives are already complaining about our security protocols." Rice smiled slightly. "Some things never change." "Did you ever imagine this?" she asked, gesturing to the bustling spaceport. "When they first caged us in our solar system, did you ever think we'd be here?" Ray considered the question. "I knew we wouldn't stay imprisoned. I knew we had potential, the Conclave couldn't see or refuse to acknowledge that." Meanwhile, she watched as a massive precursor-inspired vessel prepared for its maiden voyage to the galactic core. "This exceeds even my hopes." The old Earth saying was right, Tanaka mused. "Necessity is the mother of invention, and rejection," Rise added, "is the mother of determination." The Conclave had meant to contain humanity, to relegate them to an insignificant corner of the galaxy. Instead, they had catalyzed the rise of a new power, one built on human ingenuity, precursor legacy, and a vision for a more inclusive galaxy. The empire humanity had forged from necessity now stood as a beacon for all species seeking to determine their own destiny among the stars.